officially my birthday. There's a little Lola here. Hi. Well, she pummels me with her paws. You feel a little car sick now? Welcome to my birthday book haul. It is officially my birthday, and I just turned 2,647 years old. Birthday book haul's a little bit different this year. I do have some physical books that I got for myself from Better World Books during Black Friday, during their big Black Friday sale. I picked up some books, things that I've been eyeing for a while. And then everything else that I'm going to share with you is a pre-order. So it'll be images of books that have not yet been released. I am very pleased with this plan. Normally my birthday book haul is a result of me collecting books over the course of a year because I've made just a huge year-long reading plan for myself. And this year, for 2025, I have plenty of plans, and I'll share them in my TBR video in a couple of days. But I have fewer plans than I have had since my second year of being on BookTube. In 2025, my channel will turn 5. I will have been here for 5 years in the second half of 2025. And I have gotten progressively more regimented with my reading. And that has been great. Honestly, that has been grand. I have really been able to read so many things that I've wanted to read for a really long time, or I have experienced authors and genres and things that I never thought I would have picked up because of all of this planning and research and gathering of information and gathering of books to myself. But this year, in 2025, I want to give myself a little more freedom. I definitely have plans. I definitely have TBRs made for every month of 2025 already, but they're really reflective of my priorities, and you'll hear all about them in a couple of days when I do my January TBR and yearly reading plans video. But for now, just know that most of my birthday books are books I've pre-ordered. In 2024, I purposefully pulled back on pre-ordering. I only pre-ordered a few things from authors that I absolutely know, without a doubt, are auto-buy authors. This year, most of these are auto-buys. Some of them are new to me. And I went ahead and did it anyway because I wanted to. I will show you an image and I'll tell you what month it's going to come out in. And one of my rules, you get a little preview of my TBR video. One of my rules or goals for the upcoming year is that any pre-order or book of the month book that comes into the apartment or the house needs to be read within 2 months of its arrival. So everything I show you, I'll tell you kind of when it's coming out and when I plan to read it. But before we do that, I do have some physical books that I picked up. I did one book box from Better World Books. So we'll start with this one. This is a coffee table book, Best Wishes, Warmest Regards, the story of Schitt's Creek, the television show, which is one of my favorite television shows. And it is just the most beautiful. I've sneak read a couple of pages, but it's beautiful and it is heartwarming, and there's all sorts of inside jokes and all sorts of behind the scenes information. This will just be a joy to read. I like starting the year reading a book about media that I enjoy consuming. So I've done this with Grey's Anatomy. I've done this in January's with Big Bang Theory. I've done this with several different things that I really enjoy consuming outside of books in book form. And so I'm going to focus on Schitt's Creek this upcoming year. And then I also picked up Christmas from the Heart of the Home. I've already flipped through this. I've already read some of this. Not saving it for my birthday or for next year. This is definitely a December book. This is by Susan Branch, very much in the style of Susan Branch. if you're familiar with her. And this is some memories, some stories, some songs, some recipes, just all sorts of lovely little from her to you, Christmas focused, celebratory things in the style that she does her journal books. And so I picked it up and I'm loving it. And I really love that my copy came with a inscription to a newly married couple in 1990. So how sweet is that? I got a freebie in my box. I did not order this. I have read this. I do not own a copy of it. I guess I own a copy of it now. I think it was a mistake or they threw it in there. In any event, they told me to keep it. Maybe they have just so many of them that they needed to get rid of them, so they're just sneaking them into people's boxes. And so now I have a copy of The Handmaid's Tale. I didn't want it. I don't think I have any desire to reread it. I might just stick it into a little free library somewhere. I don't know. Or maybe I'll read it in the upcoming year. We shall see. I haven't taken any of the stickers off of any of these. Normally before I haul them, I prep them, but they are in the condition that I pulled them out of the box in. So we'll just do this. All right. This year I guess you'll hear a lot about some of my goals in this video because a lot of what I purchased is reflective of those goals. But this year, I want to revisit a series that I read as a teen. I never finished the series. It's a very long series. And I would like to read the first 12 books in the series, or the combined series is. Again, I didn't buy them all though. I just bought the first one because I don't know if I'm still going to get on with these authors and their writing, but I want to revisit the first series in this group of series, which is the Zion Covenant series. I think there are 6 or 8 books in this particular part of the series. She, if I remember correctly, I mean, based on the title as well, Vienna Prelude, she, I think, is in an orchestra in Vienna, and she is Jewish, and things start happening, and I think she has to, if I remember correctly, I have not read this since I was a teenager, and I didn't read the back, but I remember I've been wanting to revisit them ever since I was a teenager. If I remember correctly, I think she has to help evacuate 2 kids or something. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll find out. I'm not reading the back. I'm going to go into this without much knowledge than what I remember, which is very little. So I picked up the first in this series, and I intend at this time to continue on with this series and see how it goes. I picked up the first book in this series. I've been hearing so much about it. I'm a little sad because the copy they sent me is all wonky. I think that happened in transit, but it's fine. I'll stick it between some heavy books and hopefully it will right itself. But I picked up the first book in this series. This is Jacqueline Winspear's Maisie Dobbs series. I don't think I need to tell you anything about it. I haven't read the back. I just hear so many people talk about this. And a couple of years ago, I read all of Agatha Christie's Miss Marples, and I absolutely had the best time. And what I really loved was the little bits and snips you get of Miss Marple and the way that her character grows throughout the course of that series, even though there is the joy of the mystery. I'm not a big mystery reader. I don't read mysteries just for the mystery, and I think that's part of why I have a hard time getting into Poirot and things like that. But I just said that with so skillfully. Poirot. I don't know how you say it, but that's how it came out. Say it with confidence and they'll believe you. What I hear people saying this series is, I hear people say that you get the mysteries, you get the history, I think it's World War I, World War II, but you also really get to know Maisie Dobbs as a character, and her character grows throughout the series. So that's what I'm hopeful for. I so enjoyed Divine Rivals that when I saw this, I thought, it's not going to be the same as Divine Rivals. I know that much, but there's so many of similar elements to this. So I picked up Philos. They love it when you're back there. They love it when you make an appearance. This one, Lovely War by Julie Berry, is apparently, it's got war and a romance and gods and goddesses. So I am curious about this. I haven't read a whole lot about it, but I read enough to realize it has a lot of the same elements as Divine Rivals. This came out probably about a decade earlier, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. In the same vein as Maisie Dobbs, I picked up the first in the Inspector Gamache series. Ooh, somebody left some sort of hint. I better not look at that. I know that these are mysteries. I know it's a small town mystery, and I know that you follow the inspector throughout, and so you really get to know him and I guess the town, maybe? I'm not sure. I don't know what the mystery is. I haven't read much about it. I just know what people say. And so I'm going to give this a try and see if one of those two mystery series might be ones that I really enjoy getting into. Read bits and pieces of this a few years ago. I want to read it cover to cover, and I want to slowly enjoy it. This is When Books Went to War, the stories that helped us win World War II by Molly Guptill Manning. And it is just what it sounds like. It's about the campaign to send books, to send fiction over in usable, readable, carryable doses, and how books were sent to soldiers and helped boost morale and build character and all of that fun stuff. So I would like to read that. I picked up this. This is A Lady's Guide to Scandal by Sophie Irwin. I did not enjoy A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting, but I actually hear this is better. And I know so many of you love A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting. I didn't hate it. I just was a little bit bored by it. But I want to find books in this vein that I enjoy. And I think I picked this one up mainly because I had just finished, or I was just about to finish, the last Bells of London novel by Mimi Matthews, which I think this reminds me of, but I think this will be sillier. And again, I didn't hate the Guide to Fortune Hunting, the Lady's Guide, but I do hear this is more fun. So I'm going to give this one a try. I picked up Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors by Sonali Dev. This is a series I've been interested in for a while. This is a series that retells Jane Austen, but there are Indian national characters, and I think not all of them center around food, but this one does. So I'm interested in reading this and hopefully enjoying that. Again, same thing, although same reasoning as getting A Lady's Guide to Scandal. I also picked up Something in the Air, H-E-I-R, by Suzanne Enoch. But I picked this one up specifically because I heard Krista talk about it from Books and Jams. She was talking about it. She hadn't read it yet. I don't know if she enjoyed it. We do have kind of different reading taste. I think we are drawn to the same kinds of books, and then I really like the ones she doesn't like, and she really likes the ones that I don't like after they've been read. But we are drawn to the same kinds of books initially. And I don't know how she felt about this, but I remember her talking about wanting to read it. So I picked that up. It sounded fun. It's about a marriage of convenience. I picked up Doomed Romance, Broken Hearts, Lost Souls, and Sexual Tumult in 19th Century America. This is nonfiction. This is nonfiction about a specific event, a specific historical event that occurred around the American Revolution, I believe. It says Francis Parkman Prize, it won the Francis Parkman Prize. A lost episode rediscovered after almost 200 years. A thwarted love triangle of heartbreak, shattered promises, yearning, and jealousy that reads like a Hawthorne novel, but is a true story. Set between the American Revolution and the Civil War, revealing an age and subtle and powerful transformation caught between the fight for women's rights and the campaign waged by evangelical Protestants to dominate the nation's culture and politics. At its center, two men and a woman of equal ambition, each intent on following their dreams, a dour New England schoolmaster studying for the ministry, a charming 29-year-old graduate of Yale training to become a missionary, about to set forth from America to spread the word from a mission based in Palestine. And the third of the triangle, a young woman, Martha Parker, 21, smart, full of large ambitions to go off beyond home and expected duties and to become a missionary, have adventures, and teach Christian values. But something happens among the three, something that results in hurt feelings, anger, reprisals, and secret denunciations that upend all three lives, setting in motion a full-scale investigation into the truth of anonymous claims about Martha Parker's character. And I'm going to stop reading there. It just sounds fascinating, absolutely fascinating, and I want to know. I love a true crime. I don't know if there's a crime committed here, but I also like women's history, and it seems like there's one woman and two men, and she's the one who is being focused on. So we'll find out. We'll find out what that is about. I'm already fascinated. I am also going to read, I've been wanting to read for a long time, and I didn't realize it was quite this long, but I am excited to read this. It's a chunker, though, and it's really heavy. I want to read Path Lit by Lightning, The Life of Jim Thorpe. Now, if you've known me for a while, you're probably surprised that I want to read something about a sports enthusiast or a sportsman. Sports are not my thing. But I teach a long unit, a research project with my 8th graders, and I have for several years now, where we do a deep dive into researching students that attended the Carlisle Native American School in the 1800s, what happens to them, how they end up there, and then they tell that student story in a respectful manner, which keeps their name and their tribal affiliation alive. And Jim Thorpe is a student who attended that school. Inevitably there is a kid who stumbles upon him and wants to research his story. And I just don't know all that much about Jim Thorpe, and what the kids find is fascinating, but I would like to be able to be a little bit more knowledgeable myself. So I am going to read this both for my career, but also because I think that probably it's a really good thing to do. It's a really good thing to know the stories of these people whose pasts we tried to wipe out. So that is my personal stance. I have 3 more books. 2 of them have to do with goals for reading next year. So again, a little sneak preview. I want to read a Madeleine L'Engle every month. I have missed L'Engle this year. We will read her, in fact, I have them right here. We will read Love Letters by Madeleine L'Engle with my book group this year. But I miss her series. I want to reread the Austins, but I know it's too soon. So I'm going to reread and actually some of the books I haven't read before, but I'm going to read the books that are associated with the Wrinkle in Time storyline. And I'm going to read these. So I got the first one. I'm going to start in January with A Circle of Quiet. This is book 1 in the Crosswicks Journals by Madeleine L'Engle. And these are quiet, meditative, thoughtful. She's got one that kind of centers around grief and the losing of a patriarch in the family or a matriarch in the family. She's got one that centers on marriage. The back says, this is a quote by Jean Kerr. It says, "My favorite of all of Madeleine L'Engle's books, lovely, charming, a book to cherish. I know it will give great consolation to ordinary people who sometimes wonder why they bother to get out of bed in the morning." Okay, I'll go with that. The other thing that I want to do this year is I want to read everything that Katherine Center has published. So some of those are going to be brand new to me, and some of them will be rereads. One hasn't even been released yet, and it's on my birthday book haul of pre-orders here. But in January, I'm going to start with Katherine Center's How to Walk Away. I'm not necessarily reading these. I'm not reading them in publication order, that is for sure. I'm kind of reading them in interest order. I've never read this one. I don't know much about what it's about, but I love Katherine Center, and I want more of her in my life, in my brain. So her books make me happy, they make me think, they make me feel, and I want more of that. So I want to read her whole backlist, things that were just published and something that hasn't yet been released. So I'm going to start with How to Walk Away. So I got myself a used copy of that. And then finally, I have a devotional that I'm going to use this year. I have used the same devotional for several years just because I loved it so much, and that's one by Max Lucado. But I'm ready for something new this year. So I picked up this. This was just released in December. I pre-ordered it. It's part of my birthday book haul, so I'm sharing it with you here. I'll start it on January 1st, but this is called Catching Whimsy by Bob Goff, 365 Days of Possibility. You may know Bob Goff from the whole Love Does movement. I never read Love Does, never did, probably never will. But I liked the sound of this. So I researched quite a few different devotionals, and I need my devotional to be biblically based, but to have some sort of application aspect to it. I need it to be short. And if I'm gonna do it every day, I need it to be short, biblically, like very clearly, blatantly biblically connected, and the majority of it to be some sort of application. But I also need it to not be trite and to not be Sunday schoolish. I've read the Bible a lot. I've got a degree in biblical literature. I can study the Bible on my own, and I can also whip up my own insightful Bible study sort of feel. I don't want that. I want something grounded, but conversational. So I think I've got it. I love my Max Lucado one, but I think I've got it here. And I love the focus of this. So it says on the back, with his trademark storytelling and winsome take on life, love storytelling, love winsomeness. Self-dubbed chief balloon inflator Bob Goff returns with another 365-day devotional. He offers a daily tap on the shoulder to remind you how over the moon God is about you and your beautiful, often complicated life. Catching Whimsy will help you leave behind endless cycles of planning and floundering. It's as if it's talking to me. And instead, wake up to the curiosity, delight, and opportunities in this marvelous adventure called life. I love all of those things. I love the idea of focusing on curiosity, delight, and opportunities in the marvelous adventure called life. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. Helen Keller. You don't have to stay stuck in ambivalence and paralysis, unsure of the next right step. I don't know that that's where I ever am, but that's good. That's good. And get settled in God's love for you and start journeying wide-eyed and expectant into a more meaningful life, a more engaged faith, and a more intentional future. So there's a lot of buzzwords in there that I really like curiosity, delight, marvelous adventure, engaged, intentional, storytelling, winsome, whimsy, catching whimsy. And I did read the first one for January 1st. And I read the introduction, and I really like the feel. I like the length. You can see the first one is a little bit long, but the rest of them are pretty much like that. And simple, short, to the point, biblically based, really like conversational, application focused. I think this is my new devotional for at least the upcoming year. We'll see. I'm hoping that maybe now I can go year by year back and forth between my Max Lucado and my Bob Goff, and we'll see how that goes. Now let's talk about pre-orders. I've got some pre-orders in January, February, March, April, May, June, and July, and I'm just gonna share those with you. By far, my largest batch of pre-orders is coming in January. So first I have, well, I don't know if it will come first, but the first one on my list here, I have Rosarita by Anita Desai. Anita Desai has very close ties with her daughter went to, or the school that I worked at in northern India. And I've read quite a few books by Anita Desai. I enjoy her writing. You may or may not have heard of her, but she's phenomenal. And I have walked where she has trod, so I feel like a connection to her. And when I realized she had this book coming out, I was excited. This is a book, it's a little bit different from her other books. This is a book about a woman who, I think she loses her mother or is abandoned by her mother, I'm not sure. And she takes a trip. She's from India. She takes a trip to Mexico, and a woman, she's sitting on a bench or something, and a woman sees her and starts speaking to her as if she is her mother. As if this woman knew her mother. And there's no family lore about her mother ever having gone to Mexico or anything like that. So there's a mystery there. There's like family drama stuff going on. There's identity stuff going on. And I already know that I really like Anita Desai's writing. It is definitely on the literary side. It's one of the few truly literary fiction authors that I truly enjoy. So I'm excited about that. Next on my list, I have The Stolen Queen by Fiona Davis. Fiona Davis is an autobi author for me. I have no idea what this is about, but I'm sure, like all Fiona Davis, there will be 2 timelines and one kind of current day, one kind of past. It's going to be about some kind of building in New York, and we're going to find out the history, and the 2 timelines will intersect in some way. I love everything that I've ever read by Fiona Davis. Some of them more than others, but I love everything I've ever read by Fiona Davis, autobi author. Saw it was coming out, had to get it. The next one is also an autobi author for me. This is Grady Hendrix. This is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I don't know what it's about. I don't need to know what it's about. I know I love Grady Hendrix. It will be horror. It will be funny. It will probably be set in the 80s or 90s. And he writes women really well. He writes the kind of horror that I like. And I'm going to love it. I know I'm going to love it. The next one is also an autobi author for me. This is Indigo Heiress by Laura France. Laura France writes Christian historical fiction. If that puts you off in any way, I don't think it should. These are really well-written books, solid history, wonderful character development, wonderful plotting, and she writes about little niche periods in history that you almost know about but really don't, and I just love, love, love her books. I don't know what this one is about, but I auto-bought it because I love everything that I have read by Laura France. The next one I don't know anything about. This was an impulse. It was an impulse. It was a splurge. And I'm going to own it. I'm really going to own it because I bought it. But this is The Rainfall Market by Yu Yang Guang. And I don't know anything about it. Hang on, I don't remember. I know I read about it before I bought it. All right, let's see what this says here. It says that it's uplifting and healing. A gift of a book that asks, would you trade your life for another? So I think that's all I need to know. It appealed to me. I read more about it before I pre-ordered it, but it appealed to me, so I went for it. This one, same thing. I actually have never read this author. This is Where the Heart Should Be by Sarah Croissant. I think I saw this on ARG Schooling. I think she talked about this. I think it's middle grade. Let's see. In 1847, everything in Ireland was falling apart, but 16-year-old Nell was falling in love. Ireland is starving, and a poor Irish scullery maid falls in love with the British heir of the land. Can their romance stay hidden during the devastating famine? The potatoes are black, people are dying, and in the midst of it all, Nell must do everything she can to keep her family together and everyone she loves alive. It is hard to tell a love story and also the story of a people being torn apart. Okay, I don't remember reading that, but I'm glad that I got it. Sounds awesome. It is older middle grade. It's 13 years and up. Yes, I'm pretty sure I saw it on ARG Schooling. I pre-ordered this even though I've already read it. So the physical copy of Miranda Harts, I haven't been entirely honest with you, didn't release the States until January, but the audiobook was available on Audible. So I have already listened to this, and it released several months ago in the UK. I could have ordered it, but I just did the pre-order because I had the audio. I loved this. This was 5 stars for me in November, and I'm really looking forward to rereading it and being able to highlight and share quotes and things, because I think this is a really, really wonderful book. And then I ordered another one. So I just got done saying I don't really get on all that well with literary fiction, but I did order another literary fiction, and I haven't read this author before, but this book just sounded fascinating. So this is called The Capital of Dreams by Heather O'Neill. I hear that she is a pretty intense author. I'm okay with that. Can't remember who I heard talking about this, but I definitely was intrigued enough to pre-order it. It says Sophia Bottom lives in Alasia, a small country forgotten by Europe, but inside its borders, the old myths of the trees that come alive and fairies who live among their roots have given way to an explosion of the arts and the consolation of philosophy. From the clarinetists to the cabaret singers, no artist is as revered as Sophia's brilliant mother, the writer Clara Bottom. How can 14-year-old Sophia, with her tin ear and enduring love of ancient myth, ever hope to win her mother's love? When the country's greatest enemy invades and the capital is under threat, Clara turns to her daughter to smuggle her new manuscript safely on the train, evacuating children from the city. But when the train draws to a suspicious halt in the middle of a forest, Sophia is forced to run for her life and loses her mother's most prized possession. Frightened and alone in a country at war, Sophia must find a way to reclaim what she has lost. On an epic journey through the woods and razed towns, colliding with soldiers, survivors, and other lost children, Sophia must make the choice between kindness and her own survival. This is a breathtaking, dark fairy tale of life, death, and betrayal. And I hear that it is very literary. So I couldn't resist that, though. I couldn't resist that. And it sounds like the kind of thing that I want to physically read, not listen to. I may do both, but I don't want to only have the audio. So I went ahead and got this. I think this is going to be a me kind of book. I really do. And then all the others are pretty safe bets. So that's what I ordered for January. February, I have 4. So February, I'm getting Emily Wilde's next installment. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to know. Not reading about it. I've read the first and the second book, and I'm just going to go straight into the third, not knowing where it's headed. I got The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. Is that her name? Yes, Sasha Payton Smith. Sasha Payton Smith wrote Witch Haven and Witch Hunt, which were 2 of my favorite reads of this year and last. I think I read Witch Hunt last December, and I read Witch Haven last December, and I read Witch Hunt this January. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. So this is The Rose Bargain. I think this is kind of a Versailles kind of story. This time, I don't really know much about it, but I know I love her writing, and I'm just going to go into it and let her tell me a story. I've got The Other March Sisters. This is a retelling of Little Women, but it focuses on all of the sisters except for Jo. So this is by Linda Epstein, Ali Malenko, and Liz Parker. I don't know these authors, but I really enjoy retellings of Little Women. So this is giving all the Little Women the stories they deserve at last. This imaginative historical novel and companion to the much-loved classic draws Meg, Beth, and Amy from behind the shadows of Jo, Louisa May Alcott's alter ego and the author of Little Women, as vibrant and unforgettable characters grappling with societal strictures, love, motherhood, chronic illness, artistic ambition, and more, is what it says. So I definitely want to read it, and even if I don't enjoy it all that much, I know lots of people I can pass it on to when I'm done reading it. So it's a gift to me and possibly a regift to somebody else in the future. I also got, by the author of The Snow Child, I got her brand new one that's coming out, Black Woods, Blue Sky. I'm not sure what that one's about either. Let's find out here. Birdie's keeping it together. Of course she is. So she's a little hungover sometimes, and she has to bring her daughter Emmeline to her job waiting tables at the Alaskan Roadside Lodge, but she's getting by as a single mother in a tough town. Still, Birdie can remember happier times from her youth when she was free in the wilds of nature. Arthur Nielsen, a soft-spoken and scarred recluse who appears in town only at the change of the seasons, brings Emmeline back to safety when she gets lost in the woods. Most people avoid him, but to Birdie, he represents everything she's ever longed for. She finds herself falling for Arthur and the land he knows so well. Against the warnings of those who care about them, Birdie and Emmeline move to his isolated cabin in the mountains on the far side of the Wolverine River. It's just the three of them in the vast black woods, far from roads, telephones, electricity, and outside contact, but Birdie believes she has come prepared. At first it's idyllic, and she can picture a happily ever after. Together they catch salmon, pick berries, climb mountains so tall it's as if they could touch the bright blue sky. But soon, Birdie discovers that Arthur is something much more mysterious and dangerous than she could ever have imagined, and that like the Alaska wilderness, a fairy tale can be as dark as it is beautiful. So, we'll find out what that's about. I know that I really like this author's writing. I wish this book was coming out in January. I would really like to curl up with it at the start of the new year, but it's not coming out till February, so that will be a good one. In March, I lied. I have nothing coming out in March. In April, I didn't order anything for March, but in April I have 5 books. All of them are authors I have read and enjoyed at least this year, if not before. So I really, really loved Funny Story by Emily Henry this year. I've not liked anything by Emily Henry, but I loved Funny Story so much that I went ahead and pre-ordered Great Big Beautiful Life. I don't know what it's about, but it will be a romance. One of my favorite books of the year. Surprise to me, and I can't necessarily recommend it to a wide audience because it is not what it's not what the people who watch me usually read. But Phantasma was one of my favorite reads of this year. That video is coming out soon, like my favorite reads of the year video, where I'll explain a little bit more about that. But I went ahead and ordered the companion novel, which is coming out in April, called Enchantra, which is the story of the main, I think her name's Ophelia, the main woman in Phantasma, her sister. It has her own story in Enchantra. So I went ahead and ordered that because I know I'm going to want to read it, and I know that I'll probably enjoy it, and I know that I won't be able to recommend it because it's very steamy and it's very dark and horror, but also there's something about the way that this author writes, the way that Kaylee Smith writes. It's not good writing, but it's compelling writing. It's just, this is like ice cream. You shouldn't make a meal out of it, but it's nice. So I just went ahead and ordered it because, yeah, I mean, I don't believe in guilty pleasures. It's just a pleasure. It's not my usual thing. It's I don't know. I really enjoyed it. And I'm just going to own it and go with it. I also have Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on the Dead Man, which is the new one in the Vera Wong series by Jessie Q. Sutanto. Jessie Q. Sutanto writes YA, but she also wrote the Aunties books, which I have all of them over here. I love this trilogy, which is finished, but I also loved, which I don't think is with them. I don't know where Vera Wong is, somewhere. But I also loved her first book in the Vera Wong series. I'm excited to see that it is a series and wasn't just a standalone. So happy to read the next in that. I don't know anything about the story itself. I also read, just like I read my first Emily Henry that I really enjoyed this year, I read my first Abby Jimenez that I really enjoyed. So I pre-ordered Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. Abby and Emily come out at the same time. And then I also pre-ordered the next book, the next full book. I didn't get the mistletoe thing, but the next full book in the Maids series. I got The Maid's Secret by Nita Prose. And I don't need to know anything about these books except that I've already read things that I love. So that's enough for me. Oh, I have 2 more. Okay, they're on a different page on my document. I also pre-ordered a book that I read as an arc. I read The Folklore of Forever by Sarah Hogel, and definitely one of my favorite books of the year. I read the first book in this series this year, and then I got this arc for the second book in the series, and the second book is so much, I loved the first book. The second book is so much better than the first book, and I knew I needed to own it and reread it in physical form. So The Folklore of Forever, when that book comes out, you're not going to hear me shut up about it. It's wonderful. And then I also ordered The Eights by Joanna Miller, which is about rowing team, a female rowing team. In May, I have 2 books coming. So I have the second book in the Ill-Mannered Ladies. I think it's just a duology, but the first book was called The Benevolent Society of Ill-Mannered Ladies, and I absolutely loved it. Now the second book is coming out, and that is The Ladies' Road Guide to Utter Ruin. I will be super happy if this is more than a duology, but I'm pleased that there is a second book. So that is coming out, and I will read that. It's about 2 sisters and how they challenge their time, how they challenge their place in the Regency period. There's a little romance. One of the sisters is agnostic and a little bit wild, and the other is like a rule follower and very religious, but she has breast cancer, and so she's a little bit limited in what she can do. It's interesting to read about a character with breast cancer in the Regency period. There is a love interest that is a highwayman. It's a great little story. Great little story, and I'm excited that the sequel is coming out. Also in May, I pre-ordered the new Catherine Center, which is called The Love Haters. I know nothing about it. If I can get an arc of it, I will. I haven't gotten an arc yet, and usually I have my Catherine Center arc for the year. I've gotten every arc since The Bodyguard, but for whatever reason this year, I can't even see it on NetGalley. Like, it's not even, I searched and it's not even there. Usually I get a thing from her team saying you're invited to go download this book. And I didn't get that this year. So I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. If I have to read it when it comes out, that's fine. But I have pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered them even if I do get the arc. So, or I get them on Book of the Month. And then, because they always come out with Book of the Month. In June, I have 2. That's With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. And I always get the Riley Sager book. And then Ashley Poston's Sounds Like Love. I was on the fence about this one. I might actually cancel this one before it gets sent, like when we get closer. But right now, I think I do want to read it, and I think I do want to own it. Ashley Poston, I don't really like her writing all that much, but I enjoy her stories. So we'll see. We'll see. For now, it's pre-ordered. We'll see if it stays pre-ordered. And then finally in July, no title, no cover, pre-ordered anyway, the new Ruth Ware. I believe that if you go there, it just says like book 13 or something. That's not the name of it. Oh, it has a name and a cover now. Okay, when I put it on my list, when I pre-ordered it, it had no information. The Woman in Suite 11, July 8th, 2025. It's my only July pre-order at this time. When I made this pre-order, I knew absolutely nothing. No title, no cover, but now I have both. So this is my first time reading this. I'm so excited. So Ruth Ware, The Woman in Suite 11, it says, when the invitation to attend the press opening of a luxury Swiss hotel owned by a reclusive billionaire, Marcus Leidman, arrives, it's like the answer to a prayer. 3 years after the birth of her youngest child, Lo Blacklock is ready to reestablish her journalism career. But post-pandemic travel journalism is a very different landscape from the one she left 10 years ago. The chateau on the shores of Lake Geneva is everything Lo has ever dreamed of, and she hopes she can snag an interview with Marcus. Unfortunately, he proves to be even more difficult to pin down than his reputation suggests. When Lo gets a late-night call asking her to come to Marcus's hotel room, she agrees despite her own misgivings. She is greeted, however, by a woman claiming to be his mistress and in life or death jeopardy. What follows is a thrilling cat-and-mouse pursuit across Europe, forcing Lo to ask herself just how much she's willing to sacrifice to save this woman, and if she can even trust her. So Ruth Ware has been going down this, like, thriller, adventure, action, suspense, which is a departure from the books that I fell in love with by her. I did like... Let's see, let's look back. So my favorite by her is The Turn of the Key, but I also really love The Death of Mrs. Westaway. I think those are my 2 favorite by her. I enjoyed The It Girl. I did not like One by One. I enjoyed 0 Days, which sounds very much like this brand new one. I did not like The Lying Game. I did not like The Woman in Cabin 10. I did not like In a Dark, Dark Wood. And I really did not like One Perfect Couple, which was the one she released last year. I didn't like One Perfect Couple because it tells you so early on who done it. And you're just reading how it unfolds. I don't like that so much. One by One could have been good, except I knew exactly what was going on from like the second chapter. The It Girl was good. The It Girl was good. But The Death of Mrs. Westaway and The Turn of the Key are my two favorites by her. I did like 0 Days. A lot of people didn't like 0 Days, and this does sound very much like 0 Days. So, okay, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna order it. I'm gonna read it no matter what. I'm just trying to decide before I've read it, am I gonna like it? Ruth Ware and I are like, yes or no. But the yeses are such great yeses that I always give her the benefit of the doubt. So that is my birthday book haul. Those are the books that I have pre-ordered for myself for my birthday, and the few that I ordered on Black Friday from Better World Books. So I've got some used books, I've got some brand new books coming at me. And also for my birthday book haul, I have given myself another year of Book of the Month. I wasn't going to, because I felt this year like Book of the Month wasn't that great. But then as I start to gather my books for my favorite reads of the year video, I realize, wow, so many of these are books that I read because of Book of the Month. So I don't know. Feelings and reality don't always line up. So I'm going to give myself another year of Book of the Month, and we'll see how it goes. My first year with them, I was like, this is the best. The second year with them, apparently I loved the books that I read, but I didn't feel like they were giving me many options to choose from that I wanted. So we'll see how a third year goes. It might be my last Book of the Month year. We'll see. For now, I've given it to myself for my birthday book haul. And I don't know what books I will get, so surprise to me. So birthday book haul is some pre-orders, some used books, and Book of the Month. Happy birthday to me. Let's go read.